I would like to apologize to absolutely no one for dropping this VA claim nugget video. In today's video, I am going to be discussing how does the VA rate pain for joint conditions. Also, I'm going to explain what you, the veteran, should be doing before you file that claim, when you go to that CMP exam, and what you can do after if that CMP examiner fails to document pain on your joint exam. All right, everyone, before we get started in today's video, go ahead and make sure you click that like, subscribe, and notification button. Like I stated earlier, this is another VA claim nugget dropping video. How is the VA supposed to rate pain? I've seen examiners note on a CMP exam for joints. We're talking about joints. The veteran has no pain. And then the veteran is like, wait a minute. I did tell that CMP examiner that I had pain. They do a high-level review and they lose. But today, I'm going to explain not only how they rate pain, but if that examiner does not annotate pain on that CMP exam, how do you win on a high-level review? Let's go ahead and get into it. Slide number one. Here's slide number one, 38 CFR 4.59, painful motion. Okay, I cannot stress enough, when it comes to this VA claims process, you have to be educated. If you're subscribing to my channel, you attended any of my trainings, you've been a previous client, you know I am all about educating the veteran on this process to help them win, okay? So it states, with any form of arthritis, painful motion is an important factor of disability, the facial expression, and wincing. Now, when you go to that exam and they ask you to bend forward flexion for the back, left and right lateral rotation, extension, flexion of the knee, ankle, or whatever, and you have facial expression of wincing, that means pain, right? Okay? The intent of the schedule is to recognize painful motion with joint. All right, so that's how that examiner should be gauging if you have pain. Also, they should be asking you if you have pain. Guess what? Here's the nugget. If they don't ask you, you tell them you have pain. All right, so they're going to ask you some questions, or should be asking you some questions during that CMP exam. If they hadn't asked you if you had pain, you let them know, I have pain. When I'm getting out of bed, or I'm getting up off the toilet, or getting in and out of the car, or whatever, when you move that joint, lean forward to the side or whatever, you have pain on motion, okay? That is key. And during that CMP exam, is definitely important because they need to be writing that down, because when you look at the DBQ, it asks the examiner about pain, okay? So this 38 CFR is telling you, hey, this is a way that CMP examiners, they look at on that CMP exam to see if you have pain. Let's keep going. Slide number two. Here's slide number two, this is M21-1. Painful motion of the shoulder. Now, I just picked this one because this particular M21 manual reference, it has some examples, okay? And as you go through the M21-1, there are some references that gives examples, and I've done some videos on those. These are the ones you really need to be paying attention to, because when you look at these examples and you fall within these examples, you can use these on a high-level review. Another nugget, okay? All right, so painful motion of the shoulder. We're going to get right into these examples. Example number one. And these references are guidelines for raters. Hey, in this particular instance, this is what you should be doing. Okay, so if you the vet know this, Now you can hold their feet to the fire. Okay, example 1, assume a shoulder strain with forward with forward elevation and abduction limited to 145 degrees with credible evidence of pain while performing each motion. So again, like I stated earlier, when you're going through that, when you're at that CMP exam, you're going through all of these range of motions for any joint and you start wincing, that shows painful motion, okay? And keep in mind, VA does have diagrams of each joints in the range of motion, okay? And I have a video on range of motion, okay? Starting at 140 degrees. Assign a 20% evaluation on this particular 38 CFR diagnostic code. That's what DC stands for. And I'm going to show you this particular diagnostic code later. Under 38 CFR 4.59, that was the previous slide. There is actually painful motion in joint or particular pathology, all right? The lower specified compensable evaluation for shoulder motion under the diagnostic code is 20%. So basically what they're saying with this shoulder, if there's pain and the veteran has full range of motion but has pain, 20%. Compensable, that means the lowest, 20%. And they actually changed this back when I was rating, when I first started rating, if you had pain with full range of motion, it was 10%, and they increased it for the shoulder, not the other joints. And I can't remember why they did it just for the shoulder. I don't even know if they even told us. They were like, hey, this is a change. Keep this in mind when you're rating, okay? So example number 2. Assume the same facts as in example 1, but the diagnosis is traumatic arthritis of the shoulder based on x-rays, all right? Sign a 20% evaluation under the same diagnostic code, same 38 CFR. The ROM, range of motion, does not meet the criteria for 20%. So I'm going to show you a diagnostic code for a shoulder, and it'll say, hey, if the veteran has this many degrees of range of motion, assign this. So for example, for the back, if you have, I think it's 30 degrees or less than 30 degrees, forward flexion of a back, then it's 40%, okay? Let's keep going. The range of motion does not meet the criteria for 20% evaluation under that diagnostic code because arm motion is not limited at shoulder height. However, pursuant to this 38 CFR 4.59, we already covered, there is actually painful motion and joint or particular pathology, arthritis, all right? So if you go down below, it says the lower specified compensable evaluation for the shoulder motion under that particular diagnostic code is 20%. So in this example, let's just say the veteran doesn't have full range of motion, but has pain. But whatever degree of that range of motion for the joint does not rise to the criteria of 20%, the rater is still supposed to grant the 20% compensable evaluation due to what? Pain. First example, the veteran had full range of motion, all right? Had pain, 20%. The second example, the veteran didn't have full range of motion of that joint, and this is any joint. Did not have full range of motion for that joint, but had reduced range of motion, but it didn't rise to the next highest compensable evaluation, all right? So again, even though there was no full range of motion, in the second example, the veteran still had pain and that range of motion did not reach the 20%, rater still has to grant 20%. I know that sounds confusing, but think of it this way. For every joint, there's full range of motion. Like for the knee, 140 degrees. If the veteran can only go 135 degrees and the veteran has no pain, it's 0%. If the veteran has 135 degrees for that knee, but has pain, it's 10%. All right? Veteran has 135 degrees range of motion out of 40 with pain, still 10%. okay? And that's for any joint. Shoulder is the only joint where that's the minimal evaluation of 20% for pain. All the other joints is 10%. All right, let's keep going. Slide number 3. Now, here is diagnostic code criteria. I didn't list all of them, but I made sure I put in there diagnostic code 5201 because in the previous slide, it noted this particular diagnostic code in the example. Now, the reason why I'm showing you this, 2 reasons. Look over the right-hand side, it says major and minor. The major is your predominantly shoulder. If you're right-handed, that's the major. If you're left-handed, that's the major. The minor is your opposite. So you need to put this where? In your lay statement. I am claiming service connection for a right shoulder condition with strain and pain. That's a nugget. I'm going to explain it at the end of this video. And pain. This is my predominant hand, okay? Reason why? Look at some of these. Look at diagnostic code 5201. We'll look at that. Major, 20, 30, and 40. Look at the minor, 20, 20, and 30. So you can see when you get to the second level for major and minor for diagnostic code 5201, 30 and 20, 40 and 30. Let's just say you're at 93, 94%. That could be the difference between keeping you at 90% or taking you to 95%, which will take you to the overall 100, okay? Now, the second thing I want to point out in this diagnostic code criteria, you don't see anywhere where it says pain. Nowhere, okay? So let's take diagnostic code 5201, and I'm going to explain those examples, okay? So for 20% for the major and minor, it states a shoulder level flexion and or abduction limited to 90 degrees. Okay? The next one says midway between side and shoulder level flexion and or abduction limited to 45 degrees. Okay? So let's just say the veteran's right shoulder. They have full range of motion for the shoulder, no pain, 0%. Because they got full range of motion, no pain, 0%. Let's say the veteran has full range of motion of the shoulder, major right shoulder, but has pain, 20%. Okay? Let's say the veteran does not have full range of motion. Let's just say the range of motion is 80 degrees, but they have pain. It's still 20% because it does not rise to the 45 degree. 85 is in between the 90 and the 45. So it is still 20% because the veteran had pain. It will not increase to the next higher percentage until they reach that 45 degree. If you have increased pain, your pain level is at 1 or your pain level is at 10, it's still going to be the same percentage. You do not see in any diagnostic code criteria where it says pain threshold level 1, pain threshold level 10, assign this percentage. Pain is pain regardless of the threshold level. That's any joint, major nugget. Boom. Let's keep going. Slide number 4. Okay? Here in slide number 4, another M21 manual reference. Non-objective pain under 38 CFR 38 CFR 4.59. We already covered that, okay? We covered that particular 38 CFR. More examples. On examination, a claimant reports current symptoms of regular pain of the right knee, particularly when fully straightening the knee, that is worsened with increased activity. The examiner finds normal range of motion without pain on examination. We already had this example. The examiner finds normal range of motion without pain on examination. Repetitive motion testing produces no evidence of pain or loss of motion. They have to do initial range of motion and repetitive range of motion at least 3 times on that exam. The assessment is right knee strain, assigning a 10% evaluation under the diagnostic code, that's for the knee. The claimant's reports of joint pain are found to be credible. There is no basis to reject the complaints of pain lacking in credibility. 38 CFR 4.59 does not require objective evidence of pain. Objective evidence of pain is when the examiner states it, okay? The claimant's statement establishes that there is actually painful motion of the joint, even though it was objectively verified on VA examination. I'm gonna break that down for you because I know you all missed it and it's confusing. Don't worry about it, I got you covered. What they're saying is, in your statement, your lay statement, I am claiming right knee strain with reduced range of motion and pain on range of motion due to me being awarded the parachute badge. You go to the CMP exam, you do the range of motion testing, and the doctor annotates that you did not inform them or there was no objective evidence of pain, but you put the word pain in your lay statement. So the rater at that point, when they're going to grant that benefit, they're thinking 0%. These raters today, they're thinking 0%. But what they fail to realize is you are a subscriber to my channel. If you're a subscriber to my channel, go ahead and leave a 1 in the comment section for me. And you're going to remember, hey, Dwayne did this video where he was dropping these nuggets and he didn't apologize for it. And it stated if I put pain in my statement, that was credible. And even though the examiner said I didn't tell them I had pain, now the rater can grant 10%. That's for any joint, people. This is why you're supposed to be educated. And if the rater doesn't do it, guess what you're arguing on that high level review? You're going to come to 38 CFR 4.59, and you're going to come to these M21-1 manual references, and you're going to be quoting them in your high level review and formal conference. Boom. Let's keep going. Example number 2. On examination, a claimant reports constant pain of the left elbow, particularly when bending the arm. The examiner finds normal range of motion without pain on examination. Just talked about that, okay? Let's jump down to the next section highlighted in red. Assign a 10% evaluation because the elbow, the diagnostic codes for the elbow fall under 5003, which is arthritis, and 5206. That's the elbow. So when you see that on a diagnostic code, sheet, when you see that on a rating code sheet, diagnostic code 5003 and 5206, that lets me know there's arthritis and it's in the elbow, okay? The claimant's reports of joint pain are found to be credible. Here's another nugget for you. Let's say you don't put pain in your lay statement. You go to the CMP exam and the doctor doesn't note pain. And the rater, Service Connects, grants it at 0%. And you're like, wait a minute. I got a copy of my progress notes from the VA Medical Center. I went to see my primary care because I had pain in my elbow. And that progress note, you have a copy of it because you went to My Healthy Vet. Nugget, I'm telling you, nugget alert, right? The rater granted 0%. Wait a minute. Let me look in the evidence section of the rating decision. Yep, they said they looked at those records and they still gave me a 0%. Guess what you're arguing on a high level review? You should have been granted 10% because there was evidence of record at the time that claim was adjudicated, because in the evidence section, the rater noted they looked at those progress notes. You have those progress notes because you have access to My Healthy Vet. Therefore, the rater was incorrect by not assigning a 10% for my elbow because I noted pain in those progress notes and they missed it. Again, people, this is why it's important for you to be educated and know. All right. The last portion I have highlighted in red. The claimant's statement establishes that there is actually painful motion of the joint, even though pain was not objectively verified on the VA examination. Objectively, meaning a medical professional didn't state it. Okay, I just dropped a lot of nuggets, and I'm not going to apologize for it. Okay, again, it is up to you, the veteran, not your VSO, not your claims agent, and not your attorney. It is up to you to know this information. And this M21-1, the VA's dropping nuggets. Vets are missing it. Raiders are missing it. And droves are missing it. This is why you have to know this stuff as it pertains to what you're doing with your particular claim. So again, let's say you're at 94% and you claim just a knee condition, a back condition, shoulder, right? And they service connect and there is no pain documented anywhere. You're going to stay at 0%, you're going to have 0%, and you're going to stay at 94%. But since you're subscribing to my channel, you already know, wait a minute, I'm going in for this joint. Let me put pain in my lay statement. If you go to the VA, okay, before you file that claim or even during that claim is being adjudicated, you're going to let that primary care know, hey, I got pain in this joint. Even though you may not be being treated for that particular joint, you know you got a claim in for it, so you're going to say, hey, I got pain. Annotate that in my records. I got pain in this joint, okay? If you go to CMP exam, the doctor doesn't state you have pain, get a copy of that CMP exam. But most importantly, look at that rating decision, and if that rater gives you 0% for that joint and you know there's pain documented at a VA medical center or evidence that you submitted with that claim, you have the argument, and this is something I believe you can win on a high level review because now you can point out that error, all right? So I'm not going to apologize for this long video because it is a lot of information, a lot of good information to help you win. With that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and as always, share this video with your fellow veterans. Thank you.